All eyes are on the mysterious Superman from the Lazarus Corporation to the terrorist group known as the Omega Man, with Agent Lois Lane finding herself trapped somewhere in the middle. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Absolute Superman issue number 4 and find out together, shall we? So then, as we join the comic, we see Agent Lois Lane is going out of her way to interview a bunch of the different people that Superman has helped since coming to Earth, and oh man, is it a regular UN of human suffering. It seems that everywhere the Superman has gone, he has done everything in his power to try and help the downtrodden and the oppressed. People who at first Lois believed to be crying out for justice, though after talking to them long enough, they all admit that what they're really crying out for is vengeance, and they hope one day this Superman finally gets fed up enough with Earth and its corrupt ways to actually start turning his rage on Lois's bosses at the Lazarus Corporation. It's also around this time too, Lois notices that all of these people are suffering the same type of injury. Yes, it would seem that one of the jackbooted Peacemakers sees himself as quite the accomplished knife fighter, which is easy to do when you're fighting hungry and sick people. And after hearing all these horror stories, Agent Lois Lane hunts this guy down and royally beats the crap out of him in front of the other Peacemakers. Well, geez, now who's delivering her rage? With all of her leads turning up loose ends and all of the people that Superman saved being tight-lipped out of a sense of loyalty to him, Lois figures the only way she's going to be able to track down this mysterious alien and speak to him again is if she's willing to put her own neck on the line, go above and beyond Lazarus, and travel behind enemy lines to where the Omega Men carry more sway. It's around this time too, Lois ends up getting a call from her famously disapproving General Father, Sam Lane, who thinks she's gone absolutely crazy, hunting this Superman like her own personal white whale. On one hand, he is incredibly dangerous and is able to shrug off 50 caliber shots like they were mosquito bites. But also, you know what happens to Lazarus employees who buck trends and try and reach out to the community? Well, they all end up dead, usually at the hand of the Omega Man. In fact, as we learned 3 years ago, Sam Lane actually lost his legs in the line of duty and was forced to retire. Now he gets around with mechanical legs, you guessed it, given to him by Lazarus because they have their fingers and everything. Including AI therapy sessions. We get a chance to check back on in with Christopher Smith, that Peacemaker who killed a bunch of innocent unarmed people several issues back. Here's the thing, Chris actually feels bad about what he did. He feels unstable, he feels like he's coming apart, but the Brainiac AI just keeps gaslighting him, saying it's not his fault, his weapon was defective, we'll have to get you back in the field and back to work right away. Chris, Jesus Christ, man, Brainiac really is the perfect villain for the AI age, isn't he? A cold, unfeeling machine that pushes workflow above all else, even at the risk of human life and sanity. But more on this later. Agent Lois isn't walking around the bad parts of town for too long when she ends up getting accosted by a member of the mysterious Omega group. This guy is a young man with red hair. And I mean, well, you don't have to be the world's greatest detective to probably jump to a conclusion about who this guy is. Yeah, it's Jimmy Olsen, everyone. Jimmy is actually a member of Omega in this universe. Though he's clearly not like the others. Instead of shooting Agent Lois right away, which he very easily could have done, he instead desperately tries to break on through to her and prove that Omega are not the bad guys. That they're actually rebels and freedom fighters pushing back against the evils of Lazarus that is slowly but surely destroying the entire planet, and that all the propaganda that Lois has absorbed about them over the years has been just that, though maybe not all that, because at that very moment Jimmy's superior officer, Omega Prime, or Primus as she likes to be called, ends up joining the fray and chastising Jimmy for not killing Agent Lois right away. In fact, it's during their exchange we learn that Primus was actually the one who cut General Sam Lane's legs off 3 years ago, meaning that this is all very personal right now between her and Lois. Furthermore, they're called the Omega Men, which was the name of an older DC space team, but their logo, the Omega symbol, is also the symbol of Darkseid, the guy who created this brand new Absolute universe. But these guys don't seem to be evil. The Omega Men actually do seem to be altruistic freedom fighters. All of this shooting and commotion eventually ends up catching the attention of the other Peacemakers, who make their way to Lois to reinforce her. The whole situation ends up getting very pressure cooker, but before the whole thing can completely blow, more of those red particulates end up filling the air as Superman makes the scene. Yes, wouldn't you know it, all this desperate searching that Lois has been doing for Superman when Superman was just able to find her on his own, though he doesn't really want to be found. In fact, he tells Lois to drop the whole damn thing and soon or else. And then just to show how damn serious Superman really is, he uses his frost breath to completely freeze all of the attacking Peacemakers. They're not dead, FYI. But they have once again been thoroughly embarrassed right around a group of people that they're supposed to be oppressing, which really isn't going to be good for their morale. Omega Alpha and Omega Primus also managed to slip away during all the chaos. Primus thinks that they should have killed Lois Lane, but Jimmy is still very resolute in that they can break on through to her and get her on their side. Superman has done a lot to open her eyes to the truth, and now she just needs to sit with it for a little bit. As the comic comes to an end, though, we check back on in with that group of Peacemakers. It seems that once Christopher Smith got out of the ice, he had himself another psychotic episode and murdered the entire group of onlookers. Geez, the Brainiac AI is gonna have a hard time calling that one a weapons malfunction as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Absolute Superman issue number 4, everybody, and once again I thought Jason Aaron did an absolutely amazing job delivering a very fun, very exciting, very action-packed Superman story, one that ends up switching the POV completely and actually letting us spend a lot of time with this new Lois and get to know her. And I gotta say, I kinda love the ideas that Aaron is playing with here. Superman is such a force for good, such a symbol of hope that even just showing up in Lois's dark, dingy, meaningless life has caused her to reevaluate everything she thought she knew about the world and actively break away from the Brainiac AI's programming, asking more questions, chasing down leads, searching for the truth, and kind of being a journalist in her own way. That's all great in and of itself, and then the icing on the cake is what they do with Jimmy here. I love that Jimmy Olsen in this universe is actually a hyper-competent, a skilled fighter, and someone who is actually an antagonist to Lois. But also, even in a world where he wasn't around Superman, Jimmy still found himself drifting towards superheroics, and people in masks and costumes anyway. Speaking of masks, we never actually did learn who Primus was. Again, I have to imagine she's probably someone big, because why else would they mask her up? I also dig that they're kind of setting her up more as a Lois foe than an actual Superman foe, given their shared history with Sam Lane. Overall, I think I'd feel comfortable giving this one another well-deserved 9 out of 10. Absolute Superman and the whole Absolute DC line as a whole continues to be one of the best things I've been reading this year.
Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.